now to Louise again.
Thank you. Minister, I want to raise the issue of your priority of improving participation, leadership opportunities, visibility and value of women and girls in sport, and in particular the petition that was presented to Parliament a week ago, which is women who are biological women who are very concerned about their ability to safely, confidently, comfortably participate with a level playing field. And I'm interested in your comments and what you are doing to ensure the rights of those women.
Well, I'll start at the beginning of your question, which is that, again, the development of the Women and Girls in Sport strategy was my top priority and remains my top priority in the sport and recreation portfolio. That continues to roll out through a vast range of initiatives, which we can provide more on, but again, is all publicly available. That work is important and it's bearing fruit in terms of the elite level, where we've got our big four, as we call them, which is the 3 World Cups and the International Working Group on Women in Sport. We've continued to provide support through activation and innovation funds for a whole range of participation events. One of them, going to your point about safety, I guess, and inclusion, is a support fund for refugee women to be able to participate in sport and recreation, because there are different barriers that are there. I would then, with respect, separate out the issue around transgender participation in sport and recreation. And again, I'll get Raylene come in after me on this. There are 2 things, I think, there that have been conflated together. The first of those is the work around guiding principles for participation of transgender people in sport and recreation. That was a work program that Sport New Zealand began in 2020 and has now carried on through a consultation process. This is about
Are you satisfied with the consultation?
I'll carry that through. This is a process designed to provide support to sporting organisations as to how they will manage their policies around participation of transgender athletes in community sport. I am satisfied that Sport New Zealand has in the midst of a consultation process to develop a set of guiding principles. They've worked through with a number of organisations in the rainbow community, a number of organisations in the sporting community, and that consultation process continues. But Sport New Zealand's not imposing anything on anybody there. They're creating a set of principles that can be used. I think there has been an extremely unfortunate conflation of that piece of work with the rules and regulations and criteria around participation in elite sport, and the more recent example with Laurel Hubbard's selection for the New Zealand Olympic team. On that score, I would say that it is very important that we respect the International Olympic Committee and the individual international sporting federations with the rules and criteria that they set. In the case of Laurel Hubbard, she has met those rules. Politicians, and I will finish, Louise, when politicians, I'm sure, would not like it if I was deciding who got to compete in a particular sport or a particular area.
Yeah, and so I'm talking about grassroots sports, where women
but my point is that the 2 things have been conflated together.
Well, I'm not asking you that question. I'm asking you the question.
If we can just let the Minister finish.
So on your point, we of course concern ourselves with the safety and well-being of everybody involved in sport. We are starting this particular process, or Sport New Zealand is starting this particular process, based on the principle of inclusion. That is the starting point for the discussion, and we of course have mind to the safety and well-being of all athletes.
So are you confident that the consultation that has occurred from Sport New Zealand has incorporated sufficiently covered women's sporting groups to ensure that they don't feel excluded or unsafe in participating? Because that's the feedback from thousands of women, and so I'm asking directly for a response to that.
And I answered that at the very beginning. I am confident in the process that Sport New Zealand has underway. It is a process that is ongoing. But this is a process about making sure that every New Zealander gets to be included in sport. If we start from that principle, I think we'll end up in a good place.
So how will you ensure that there is a level playing field for grassroots level of sport, so that biological women feel on a level playing field. Because at the end of the day, if that's not occurring, we won't have anyone participating in the elite sport that I know is important to some in New Zealand.
With respect, I simply disagree with the latter part of that statement. I think you're grossly exaggerating the situation. If I could read you the 7 guiding principles that are in the draft that's been consulted
Have you read the petition?
Inclusion.
Have you listened to the voices of biological women and their
Could we
concerns?
hear from the Minister, please?
I'll read you the 7 guiding principles: inclusion, well-being and safety, privacy and dignity, anti-discrimination, bullying and harassment, listening and responding, education and safe spaces. I think this is exactly what we want, is making sure that people feel included and people feel safe. We owe that to everybody who wants to participate in sport and recreation in New Zealand. I am confident that this is a good process. I'm also confident that the voices of many different people are being heard.
We'll move now to Ricardo for primary.
Good, Minister, and thank you for your affirming words. Just in the record, biological woman is not a scientifically grounded term, but my question is still on the issue of inclusion.
I think we know what we're talking about.
I just wonder what steps are you taking to address pay parity between sports, like among sports people, and particularly around gender parity, and also the pay issues and gaps and